Greetings, Spooky fans! Michael here, and the Eviolite, or Eviolite, or Eviolite? I don't know. I'm just gonna call it the Eviolite because that's what I'm used to, so if that's wrong, I apologize. But anyways, it's a held item that gives the holder a 50% boost to its defense and special defense, but it only works on Pokemon that are still capable of at least one more permanent evolution. So forget Mega Evolution. The item is so good and so useful that certain pre-evolved forms holding an Eviolite end up being better than their evolved forms. As a celebration of these Pokemon, I'm gonna be counting down the top 20 strongest Pokemon that are not fully evolved. Like with all my other strongest Pokemon countdown videos, I'm gonna be doing the ranking based primarily on base stat total because it's more objective and straightforward. And if there are any ties, then I'll break those by general viability. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Pretty please. I'm begging you, it would be so nice. And let's dive into...
Ha! It is I, Grunty Boy, here to derail you with a dastardly deed of doom.
You know, I have to admit, I would be a lot more upset that you're here right now if not for that excellent alliteration just now. Top tier, very good. But anyways, what did you do?
I knew that your sponsor for today's video was Cove and their top quality wireless speaker, the Cove Commuter 2. So, I stole yours.
You mean this one?
Yes.
Wait, what? Yeah, this one is mine. I've been using it most every day since I got it. It really easily connects to my Bluetooth devices, usually my phone, but sometimes my laptop, and I can carry it with me anywhere. I use it a lot for listening to music or podcasts in the morning while I'm getting ready, or making chores go more smoothly, or while doing at-home workouts.
Yes, I am aware that it is a wonderful and easy-to-use speaker with great sound quality and up to 7 hours of battery life. I know this because I've been using yours, which I stole from you, and that I am holding right here.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that that one is not mine. I've been keeping very good track of mine, even when I split it into two pieces for a fun surround sound effect. Which is really awesome, by the way. It's like 2 speakers for the price of 1.
But if that's yours, then whose house did I break into? Hold on, I could have sworn your address was 420 Parental Drive.
That's my parents' house!
What?
Yeah, my mom bought a Cove Commuter 2 after the last promo we did, and she loves it. She uses it all the time. Well, I guess she did. Before you stole it from her.
I am so sorry. I will return it right away.
Wait, you will?
Well, yeah, I want to ruin your life, not hers. She's lovely.
Yeah, she is, but how do you know that?
Oh, we sat down and had tea while I was there.
She had tea with you? While you were breaking into her house?
I think she thought I was you.
Oh yeah, we do look a lot alike.
Oh, come on, you know I'm far more handsome. But anyways, I am going to go return this to your mom.
Good. And you know, Grunty Boy, you could just buy your own instead of stealing one. If you head to the link down in the description below and use code MJ68 at checkout, you can get 68% off not just the Cove Commuter 2, but all of their audio products site-wide.
If you're trying to seduce me into a life of not crime, I must admit it's kind of working for this specific thing because my God, that is an incredible deal.
I know, right? Now run along and go return the speaker to my mom.
You got it, and I'll be sure to take lots of photos of your baby pictures. Ha ha!
Wait, no, Well, anyways, thanks so much to Cove for sponsoring this video, but now let's dive into the top 20 strongest Pokemon that are not fully evolved. First up for number 20, we have a 3-way tie. Lairon, Sneasel, and Gligar all have a base stat total of 430. So right off the bat, I gotta break this tie based on which one's the most viable. Lairon is definitely the worst of the 3 with 2 4x weaknesses. Sneasel can have success, but it's essentially just worse Weavile, since it's so frail that the Eviolite doesn't help it that much. Meanwhile, Gligar was in Smogon's UU tier in Gen 7, a very respectable place to land. So number 20 is definitively Gligar. Gligar doesn't have eye-popping stats, like most Pokemon on this list. Its best stat is its defense, which isn't amazing, but recall that it'd be holding an Eviolite, making its defense actually quite good. With the right investment, it can be reasonably tanky. And that's really what Gligar excels at, just sticking around for a while. It has the ability immunity so that it can't be toxic killed. It has Roost for reliable recovery. It resists or is immune to the pivot moves of U-turn and Volt Switch. It only has 2 weaknesses, and it gets several nice utility moves like Defog, Stealth Rock, Knockoff, and Toxic. Well, it had Toxic in Gen 7, but we don't know if it will have it in Gen 8 because it's not in Gen 8 yet. And Sword and Shield really cut down on how many Pokemon could learn Toxic. I feel confident that Gligar and Gliscor would get Toxic though. I mean, Gligar's Pokedex entries talk about how it injects things with poison. Overall, I don't think Eviolite Gligar is better than Gliscor, but it's definitely quite good and shouldn't be overlooked. The next 2 entries are also a tie, and the weaker Pokemon of the pair, in my opinion, is number 19, Misdreavus. Misdreavus has a base stat total of 435, with poor HP, attack, and defense, but solid special attack, special defense, and speed. The Eviolite, of course, helps with the defensive stats, making both of them more acceptable. Misdreavus is not particularly impressive, at least in my eyes. It does have a lot of nice utility moves like Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, Pain Split, Thunder Wave, and Memento, plus Hex as its main attack. However, its middling speed and bulk that is helped but not saved by the Eviolite can hold it back from having a ton of success. Gligar is definitely a better competitive Pokemon than Misdreavus, and that's a flaw with my ranking system. Pokemon that have higher base stat totals but are worse in competitive end up higher ranked than Pokemon who are just flat out better than them. But hey, I'm acknowledging the flaws, so that should give me some points, right? The other 435 base stat total Pokemon is Tangela, making it number 18. Tangela's stat spread is the reason I put it higher up than Misdreavus. As you can see, it has fantastic defense even without the Eviolite, so the Eviolite just makes it even better. Its special defense is horrible, but it does get bolstered a bit. Combine its tankiness with all kinds of healing options. It is a grass type after all, and grass types like their healing. And the ability Regenerator, and you have a Pokemon that can find success in a defensive utility role. Well, some success. At the very least, more success than Misdreavus. The next 3 entries are a 3-way tie, and the bottom of them is number 17, Seadra. Seadra has a base stat total of 440, and while its defense is pretty solid, its HP and special defense are quite bad. The Eviolite is useful for Pokemon that are more defensively built than this, and the other 2 base 440 total Pokemon have better defenses than this. I think Seadra is a cool looking Pokemon, but in regards to battle prowess, it's just worse Kingdra. The next 440 base stat total Pokemon is Clang, making it number 16, and it is more defensively built. Since Klinklang doesn't have better HP or special defense, a Clang with an Eviolite is strictly better defensively than Klinklang, meaning Klinklang is the play for offense, Clang for defense. Clang can find some niche utility, especially in doubles if paired with other plus or minus Pokemon. A few of you may remember Wolfie Glick's Clang in his Clang Gang video, and it had some success in the VGC Online metagame. Neither Clang nor Klinklang tend to be stellar Pokemon, but I think it's worthy of note that Clang is a better tank than Klinklang if it has the Eviolite. The final and top base 440 Pokemon is number 15, Vigoroth. It actually is not as defensive as Clang is. However, it does have good speed and respectable attack. I put Vigoroth as the top Pokemon of Vigoroth, Clang, and Seadra because it's the only one of the 3 that is banned from Smogon's Gen 7 not fully evolved metagame. To be perfectly honest, I don't know why. There's very little writing about it, and I am not an expert in the previous generation metagame that only allows not fully evolved Pokemon. And if you know an expert in that metagame, I will be impressed. Next up is number 14, and it's finally not a tie. The only Pokemon that is not fully evolved and has a base stat total of 448 is Doublade. Doublade has insane defense, great attack, and garbage everything else. The Eviolite makes its defense one of the highest in the game, but it improves its special defense from terrible to just decent. Its main usage is Sword Stance and Shadow Sneak to get around its poor speed. It does have the drawback of no guard not helping its main attacks, meaning enemy Pokemon simply always hit it, and as I mentioned, its special bulk isn't great. It's not better than Aegislash because Aegislash is crazy good, but Doublade is certainly good enough and can hold its own, and it was in the UU tier back in Gen 7. Also, quick PSA, also a call out for Pokemon 7 specifically, it's not pronounced Doublade. It's a double blade. Doublade! The next two entries are another tie. And first off, we have number 13, the weaker of the two, Piloswine. Piloswine has solid HP, but underwhelming defenses. The Eviolite does work well here though, since it bolsters its worst stats and combines them with its good HP, resulting in a formidably bulky Pokemon. Unfortunately, its typing is not great defensively, having 5 weaknesses compared to just 1 resistance and 1 immunity. It's a sorta bulky attacker, but not bulky or strong enough to have widespread usage. It is strong enough to be banned from the Gen 7 not fully evolved metagame though. Piloswine is not better than its evolution, Mamoswine, but the same cannot be said for the next 450 total Pokemon, number 12, Chansey. Ignoring Eternamax Eternatus, Chansey has the second highest base HP of all Pokemon, second only to its evolution Blissey, and only by 5 points. It then has great special defense and garbage everything else, particularly physical defense. However, you can cover for that bad defense using heavy EV investment, its already absurd HP, and the Eviolite. Blissey's stats are somewhat higher than Chansey's, but they aren't a large enough jump to do more than the Eviolite. Eviolite Chansey just takes hits better than regular Blissey, so that makes Chansey the better Pokemon. In Gen 7, it was in the OU tier, and Blissey was in the UU tier. Combine Chansey's simple refusal to die with all the utility moves it gets like Soft Boiled or Seismic Toss or Heal Bell or Stealth Rocks or Toxic in the last gen, and you have one of the most annoying Pokemon to fight in most any situation. Next up is number 11, not a tie this time, Sliggoo. Sliggoo has amazing special defense and middling or bad everything else. With an Eviolite, it takes special hits very well, but it doesn't seem to do a whole lot else. Sliggoo is a weird Pokemon here. It doesn't seem to be used at all in regular metagames, and it only seems to be middle of the pack in the not fully evolved metagame, despite having the highest base stat total of all of the middle evolution pseudo-legendary Pokemon by a sizable margin. All of the other ones are 410 or 420, but for some reason Sliggoo's randomly at 452? What? Oh, why? It's weird. But now we're finally to the top 10, and numbers 10 and 9 are, thankfully, the final tie of the video. The inferior of the two is number 10, Golbat. Golbat has a base stat total of 455. Normally it has middling bulk, but the Eviolite makes it quite solid. Combine that with good defensive typing and access to utility moves like Defog, Toxic, and Roost, and Golbat is able to find success in some of the lower tiers like NU, despite not being fully evolved. And it is banned from the not fully evolved metagame in Gen 7. So Golbat is alright, but it's not better than Crobat. The next 455 total Pokemon is so good with an Eviolite that it's better than its evolution. That being number 9, Dusclops. Dusclops also has that base 455 total, but most of its stat investment goes into its monstrous defenses. Those already massive defenses get boosted by the Eviolite even more, definitely more than making up for its poor HP. Now Dusclops isn't that good in singles, but in doubles, particularly VGC, in this most recent generation, it is a staple. It is the premier Trick Room setter due to its bulk, immunities, and access to Bulldoze, which slows down its partner Pokemon, which in Trick Room makes them faster. I think its usage has gone down a bit since all the legendaries were added in the Crown Tundra, but before then, it was widely used and is still a very reliable Trick Room Pokemon. At the very least, it is definitively better than Dusknoir. Next up is number 8, Galarian Mr. Mime. Cantonian Mr. Mime has the same base stat total, but it doesn't evolve, so it's not here. Galarian Mr. Mime isn't as special as Dusclops. It has good special defense boosted up by the Eviolite, but its bulk in defense and HP is bad enough that it still ends up pretty frail. Plus Ice is not great defensive typing. I don't believe it gets much, if any, use outside of the not fully evolved metagame. But it was on my Metronome Battle Federation Championship team. Haha. Next up is number 7, Magneton. Magneton has a base stat total of 465. It has good defense, amazing special attack, and middling other stats. It's certainly not that bulky, but in Gen 7, it was actually in the UU tier. Apparently, its main purpose was to use Magnet Pull to trap opposing steel types, specifically Scizor, and then KO them with a hidden Power Fire while they couldn't do anything to it in return. It seemed to be reasonably effective, but then Gen 8 removed hidden power, and now Magneton doesn't have any fire type attacks, so it's not as good anymore. Nowadays, you're better off just using Magnezone. One quick note before we move on to number 6 is Phione. Phione would be next in line on the list with its base stat total of 480, but it's technically a fully evolved Pokemon. It's the offspring of Manaphy, yes, but it cannot evolve into Manaphy and therefore does not get the Eviolite boost. Instead of a pre-evolution, think of it as more just like a mutant offspring. It's like a mutated Manaphy. It's weird and pointless. Why did they make this thing? Number 6 is Rhydon. It has a base stat total of 485. Stellar defense and attack and very good HP, but bad everything else. The Eviolite definitely makes it tough to take out, unless you're using a special water or grass move though. While I believe the Eviolite gives Rhydon better bulk than Rhyperior, it means that Rhydon has to hold the Eviolite, whereas Rhyperior can hold other items that can really play well into its battle strategies. From what I've seen, Rhyperior's main use in VGC is as a Trick Room sweeper, usually paired with something next to it, often Dusclops, to use Bulldoze on it, slowing it down, thus making it faster, but also activating a weakness policy for extra power. Rhydon not only cannot hold a weakness policy because it's holding the Eviolite, but it also lacks the ability Solid Rock, which decreases the damage taken from super effective hits. So I said that Rhydon with an Eviolite is bulkier than Rhyperior, but if the hit is super effective, that's not even true. Number 5 is Electabuzz. It has a base stat total of 490. Its best stats are speed and special attack, which are solid. Its special defense and attack are middling, while its HP and defense are poor. The Eviolite certainly helps, but Electabuzz is not a Pokemon that excels. To be fair to Electabuzz though, Electivire isn't any good either. It was in the PU tier in Smogon in Gen 7, despite its very high base stat total. Number 4 is Magmar. It has a base stat total slightly better than Electabuzz's, being 495. Unfortunately for it though, its spread is not great. It has near equal investment in attack and special attack, which means a lot of base stat points are going to waste on the one attacking stat you're not going to use, because you're only going to use one or the other. Magmar is in the same boat as Electabuzz. Neither it nor its evolution are that great in the competitive scene. Number 3 is Scyther. Scyther has a base stat total of 500. Oddly enough, it is the only example of a Pokemon having the same base stat total as its evolution. Scizor is base 500 total as well, but it is slower, stronger, and more defensive. But while Scyther's effective base stat total can be made higher with the Eviolite, it is still inferior to Scizor. Bug Steel is simply a amazing typing, especially compared to Bug Flying, which is a bad typing. Plus, Scizor has Stab Technician boosted Bullet Punch, which is amazing. So Scizor, great. Scyther, looks cool, not great. Number 2 is, appropriately, Porygon 2. With a base stat total of 515, it's a flat out strong Pokemon even without evolving. Its stats are pretty balanced overall, with most of them being solid, but the Eviolite makes it a very solidly bulky tank. Its evolution Porygon Z becomes faster and hits harder, but it's actually frailer. So Porygon 2 is both naturally bulkier and has access to the Eviolite. It is miles easier to KO a Porygon Z than it is to KO a Porygon 2. This has actually resulted in Porygon 2 being far more widely used in the VGC metagame than Porygon Z. Porygon 2 is a really effective Trick Room setter because of its bulk, and it only has one weakness, and it also has access to really nice utility moves like Recover and Ally Switch, and a pretty wide attacking move pool as well. In singles, they are similarly viable, but in doubles, Porygon 2 is miles better. And finally is number 1, the not fully evolved Pokemon that is stronger than a ton of fully evolved Pokemon. That being Type Null. Yeah, the legendary. Even though I don't think it should be a legendary. Type Null has balanced stats across the board aside from its speed, meaning it becomes super bulky with the Eviolite. And that is really all it has going for it. Despite having a base stat total of 534, it still ended up untiered in the Smogon Gen 7 singles metagame, which is like, man, I mean, it was good enough to be banned from the not fully evolved metagame, but despite that base stat total, it doesn't measure up to the fully evolved Pokemon. My suspicion for why this happened is that it has a pretty limited move pool, it is extremely slow, and its stats are too balanced. Pokemon with super balanced stats tend not to fare too well, like Castform or Glalie. That is, unless they're really strong Pokemon, like Mew. So in summary, of the 20 strongest not fully evolved Pokemon, 14 of them were fully evolved at the time of their introduction, which makes sense. Actually, it's 15 if you count Galarian Mr. Mime, which is kind of. Also, the not fully evolved Pokemon that I think end up better than their evolved forms with an Eviolite are Chansey, Dusclops, and Porygon 2. So, the bulky ones that appreciate even more bulk. Thanks so much for watching, and an extra special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon who are helping support my channel during times when ad rates fluctuate quite a bit. If you want to help support me in the same way, the link is in the description below. Also, if you want to check out some more of my fun Pokemon content, I recommend these videos here. All right, that's all I have for now. So until next time, big fans, gotta catch them all.